Hey everyone, it's Faded Angelos again, coming back at you with another build. This one is a little memey, so prepare yourself. It's a pure Sentry build for, you have to use the order calling, but it's it's actually it's actually kind of a meme right now because in the CBT they don't give us the other hero traits to work with, but it actually is pretty powerful on its own. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it with the talents you start off with. So it's going to mirror my build for minions. However, it's just going to take the bottom row. So the bottom row is all Sentry talents. So you're going to take all of the Sentry damage. Then you're going to run over here and take the Sentry radius and duration. Then you're going to grab the critical strike rating and the critical strike damage. Get the 30 strength and intelligence. And then, if you remember, on the minion build, we grabbed this one. This time, we're going to grab this one. Yeah, it's a little glitch, so don't worry about that. It's supposed to be intelligence and or 15% plus crit, and then that's for 10 intelligence. But it's a little glitched at the moment, so sorry. Then you're going to run over here for Sentry damage again. Then you're going to let me scroll over. There we go. Then you're going to get Sentry cooldown speed and maximum Sentry skill charges. This will help you keep your sentries up. And then you're going to do cast frequency and more cast frequency. Then you're going to go into Machinist. You're going to again follow the bottom rows. So you're going to grab Sentry damage. You're also going to grab Sentry skill cooldown recovery rate. Again, some more cooldown recovery rate, help you keep the sentries up. Then the critical strikes here as well. Then the more damage. And then you're going to want this as well. The radius for your Sentry skills are going to be really useful to help keep your damage, at least for your fire pillars and the thunder field. And then you're going to actually want barrier damage absorption and this one, because you will gain a barrier to give you a shield that's 15% the sum of your maximum life and maximum energy shield, absorbing 50% of the damage taken. It's a nice, since you're going to be placing down sentries quite a bit, it's going to be a nice defensive layer for you. And then you want the movement speed, and then the increased damage, Sentry damage when moving, because you will always be moving around. You don't want to just sit there and just let your sentries do damage. I wouldn't grab these immediately after you fill these out because you want to make sure you get all the Sentry stuff. So you're going to grab the skill cast frequency, and the skill cast frequency again, yes, you take a little bit of a damage hit here, but you'll see why you grab that frequency. Then you grab the Sentry damage, and then +1 sentries. So you should be having a maximum of 5 fire totems at once, or fire pillars at once, and then 4 thunder fields and 5 ice bond sentries. And then you're going to want the maximum life and regeneration. So you get 2% of your life regenerated per second, and you get a good chunk of maximum life there. I forgot to go over this. The talents you're going to pick for up here are going to be your sentries. So you want them +1 to maximum sentries, and then 100% additional cast speed for the sentries, skills of sentries placed. So this will make it pretty much instantaneous, you throwing down something. Also, this 100% additional cast speed for sentries is really nice to... I don't think it works to scale what we're going to look at later, but it should help with you just kiting around if you have to. So it's always nice. And then you're going to grab overly modified for more sentry damage, and then 50% additional negative 50% additional non-sentry. Since you're going pure sentries, this is no-brainer. You're just going to grab this just to make sure you keep your damage. Okay? And then for the machinist ones, you're going to grab 30% of additional damage or additional sentry damage if no sentry skill was used in the last 1 second. So once you get all of your sentry skills down, you have a good 4 to 5 seconds of where you don't need to cast any more skills. You can just run around, make sure you are still moving because of that damage buff, but you're going to run around and make sure that you are positioning yourself correctly to keep all the damage up. And then this last one, this one is amazing. This makes your fire pillars just cast ridiculously fast. And I'll show you what I mean after this. And then you're going to go Alchemist at the end, and you're going to grab these damage nodes. You're also going to grab this cast and attack speed, because this actually will help scale your Machinists. 80% of effective cast speed is also applied to Sentry cast frequency, so you're going to continue to put points there to max out the cast speed, or make your cast speed as high as possible, because that means more casts for your totems. Okay? Then you're just going to keep following this on through. You're not actually going to get the minion movement speed because we're not really using minions that much. So from here, you're going to want to get defensive layers. So you can get more regen here. So you can pick up another, I want to say another 2% life regen there. You can also get maximum mana. It's just pretty much however you're sitting. Or you can get max health here, which probably would be the best thing for you to do, is max out max health till you can get about right here. Just keep maxing that out until you can get to, it's going to be, sorry, I'm just making sure. Okay, so you're going to grab, okay, so you're going to grab life right here. Then you're going to grab regen. Then you're going to grab more regen. And then you're going to grab increased regen speed to just keep your regen completely up. And by all of those points, you should be able to reach here, where you can start putting points into Spirit Magus. And you're just going to go ahead and keep max all of this out for Spirit Magus. And then from there, you're just going to pick up anything defensive. So barrier absorption, and then armor, you're going to just pick it up because you don't need to worry about the minion nodes. You're not looking to scale that. Basically, we want to get this up so we can get the 2 free spirits. So you can attach them with supports to debuff. So you're going to be looking for mark support. You're going to be looking for overpower. And you're going to be giving them aggressiveness, so that way they can continue to attack. All right, so you're just going to keep going till you have this ability, and then you can also use that as well. Get the Warhorn for more a cast speed. Then we're going to take a look at the packs. So the packs, you actually do start off with something that gives you damage. This percentage damage does affect your totems or their sentries. So you want to pick up all of these notes and make sure you max that out, and then pick up the defenses here. If you have pack spirits for elemental damage, that will also affect your pack spirits. Anything that does added to spells will also affect your pack spirits. So, or sorry, not your pack spirits, your sentries, because they are considered a spell. So you will need to just keep an eye out for those kind of affixes. And then let's go ahead and take a look at how you should set up your skills. So you're going to be using 3 sentries in this build. You're going to be using Flame Pillar, you're going to be using Thunderlight Field, and Ice Bond. So for Flame Pillar, you're going to want Sentry Modification, gives you +1 to sentries deployed at a time. So that means that your maximum, you're allowed 2, you'll be up to 5, including your passives. Then Multifaceted, and this allows you to summon more than 1 at a time. So that way you're not sitting there casting forever, you just throw them all out. And then you want to do added fire damage, because the flat fire damage is going to be amazing for scaling damage. And then you would want to keep going with, since there is quite a bit of crit, you can put on a crit multiplier here, or you can just continue to scale the elemental damage. So you would want to get things like fire penetration. You'd want to get things like fire explosion as well. Gives you 26 extra fire damage. So that's another thing you could pick up as well. And then for Thunderlight Field, how this one works is different than the rest of the sentries. So it makes a field, and then allies' attack triggers Lucky, which means it has a higher chance of critting within the field, and deals additional lightning damage that scales according to the damage dealt to enemies. So the harder the hit is, the more lightning damage it will do. So this you can't directly scale damage with supports. I know, it's weird, but that's the case. As you can see, there's no supports you can add to this that will actually give it more lightning damage. All you can do is increase the area of effect, add Bloodbath to it, so while it's activated, it gets 3.4% of the effect, stacking up to 10 times. So you can add Bloodbath to it, and then you can add increased area of effect, so that way there's a bigger area for this to happen. You can also do spell concentration if you want to do scale more damage with it. And that might actually be better than using Bloodbath early. It'll make the AoE smaller for the lightning field, but if you can make sure the enemy stays inside it, it will go ahead and boost your damage by another 32% for the damage that the electric field does. You're going to run multifaceted guard on it again, and Sentry modification, so you can put down up to 4 of these. And yes, they overlap, so you can have it overlap on the enemy and be triggering like crazy. It's going to be, you're going to see, it's going to be fun. And then Ice Bond, how this one works is when you place down the field, you have to be nearby. Or when you place down the sentry, you have to be nearby. And when you're nearby, it will chain to you. So you need to make sure that you're positioning yourself the enemy between the sentry turret and you. So that way the laser beam hits the enemy. It will keep stacking cold damage to frostbite enemies as well. So, and if they're frostbitten, they take even more cold damage. So you definitely want to make sure you're positioning this correctly. You're going to run Sentry modification, multifaceted guard again, and added cold damage. So that way you have even more cold damage here. Then you're going to want to run a movement skill. You know my favorite, leap attack, because there's no cooldown. And you can get around really fast because you're going to have a lot of attack speed and cast speed. So, and then compound source, you're going to want to run this with instant regeneration to make sure that you don't die, because the regen sometimes is not good enough. So, and then for your spirits, you're going to want to run mark. You're also going to want to run overpower. And once you get enough points, these will be free. So that means you can giga buff them. If you want them to do more damage, you can give them added fire for that fire spirit. And then I'm running Thunder Spirit because if you remember, we're scaling attack speed and cast speed for the sentries, so that way they frequently cast as fast as possible. So Thunder Spirit, it does give you 49% attack speed and cast speed. So you definitely want this buff up. So you should be using Thunder Spirit. Once you do, you'll see a major difference when you put on that talent that allows you to convert 80% of your cast speed into Sentry frequency. So you're going to support them with Mark first, because that is going to be able to give them less evasion and critical strike damage taken increase. So you're going to have quite a bit of crit because of your passives. You're definitely going to want to make sure that they can take more crit damage. You can put this as any support down here you want. If you want to run another aura, you know, I would wait until you have these free to go ahead and run an elemental damage aura. I wouldn't do curse on hit because none of these will count. So you would have to use like Leap Slam or another ability to actually curse on hit for elemental to boost these damage. So I wouldn't do that. I would just go ahead and run things that will buff your spell damage more for elemental damage. So without further ado, that's everything there. We'll take a quick look at gear. So basically, you're going to want anything that increases your elemental damage. This added gear fire damage is not going to matter. As you can see, this DPS for the weapon, it doesn't affect the main skill, so you're not going to worry about it. And none of these will. I know it doesn't say it, but this won't when I equip it. You're going to want to look for things like added cold damage to spells, and because added gear cold damage doesn't count. So you're going to want things like elemental damage as well. That will count. Things like this, added spell cold damage, added fire cold damage, or added fire cold damage, added fire damage. Then there's even 40% cold damage on here. You can also have crits. And remember, you want to be scaling strength for more sentry damage and intelligence for more crits. So I'm using one-handed because it's faster to leap slam with one-handed, and I also get a defensive shield, so that really helps. And then you're just going to want to keep looking at your gear to see, like, this has elemental damage and then it has resistances. You're going to want things like this. Evasion, not so much, because there's a lot of armor in nodes in there and no evasion. You want to look for armor on this. But since this is a new character that's new to endgame, so it's not going to actually have optimized gear yet. And then this one is again evasion based, but it was the best one I had. So strength and dexterity, we don't really need dex, but critical strike damage, that also helps with the crits. And if you can get a pentagram astrolabe, this is really nice. This helps you do a lot more damage than you normally would. Though you won't benefit from the bonus erosion damage because you have to do erosion damage to begin with. But the added spell cold damage, the added fire cold damage, those will actually affect it. Added spell fire, added spell cold, added spell lightning, all three of those, and it gives you elemental resistances. That's a nice belt. This one is a really nice ring because it gives you 37% elemental damage, 30% elemental resistances. You get 21% chance to inflict elemental ailment up, 24% chance to avoid elemental ailments, and 17% chance for each elemental abnormal state the enemy has. So since you're going to be doing shock, you're going to be doing fire, you're going to be doing ice. So you're going to have right there, I'm sure this modifier can roll higher, but right there you're sitting at 41% bonus damage, right? Was my math off? Times 3. No, 51%. I was right the first time. 51% bonus damage just with this. So this ring is really nice to have. Other than that, you're going to want fire damage to spells. I don't have tenacity blessing, any way to get tenacity blessing, so that really doesn't help. But the rest of this is really nice. Resistances, erosion resistance. That's my problem. I can't get enough erosion resistance. Same here. Attack speed, don't worry about that, but added cold damage to spells and attacks is really nice. Alrighty. And that's about every gear slot I have so far. So let's go ahead and run into an area. Whoops. I may have chosen a dungeon I just completed. Give me 1 second here. Yes. I did. My bad. So, let's go ahead. I'm only level 62. So we're going to run a level 62. It's going to be my level. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to dash forward, throw down your flame totems, see how fast they cast. See how much damage they're doing? And this is without any hero traits at all to boost any kind of functionality for your totems. So we'll have to wait for release to see if there's actually an actual hero specialization for sentries. And if there is, then this damage can all be multiplied higher. Whether it's bonus functionality for the sentries or what, it's still going to. Right now, just with how they're functioning, this is possible. This is all the damage you can do. Like, you throw down the Thunderfield to get the procs for the lucky hits. Then you just stay with the beams in between you and the enemy. Right there. See how they're just melting? Like, see how they're just melting and they're keeping the ailments on the enemy? See? Like that. They just melt. And obviously you can scale that even further with doing more and getting more gear that has added bonus spells or added bonus damage to spells. So that's what you're going to want to look out for to keep that scaling that forward. Also, like I said, strength and intelligence on your gear to make sure that you continue to scale the damage up higher. That will be your keys to making this work. Like I said, it's kind of a meme right now because closed beta test, you only get order calling, which is minion based, not sentry based. So hopefully they do add something for sentries to make this even crazier, because right now it is really strong. It can be even stronger if we have a calling for it when the game actually releases next month. So thank you all for tuning in for this build guide. I hope it was helpful. Sorry about the little choppiness there. Trying to go through the talents. There wasn't really many to go through for alchemy. You're just going to actually have to just focus up on all of your defenses in that section. But thank you again for tuning in. This was Faded Angelus. I hope you enjoyed the build guide. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did. And I will catch you all later. See ya.